Today, I'm sharing the 5 most important factors for writing an awesome and authentic about page that's going to land you more customers. Then I'm going to be wrapping it all up with one final bonus non-writing tip that'll make or break your about page. There is this saying in business, every employee is a salesperson, or everyone sells. And what this means is that every single person who works for your business, but especially those people who come into contact with your customers, are going to have a positive or negative impact on that person's experience and help them decide whether or not they're going to buy from your company. And what that means is that you need to make sure that everyone who works for your company really understands your products and can be a good representative of your products and your values and your company as a whole. Well, that's true of the pages on your website as well. When it comes to your website, every page on your website is going to be, in a sense, a sales page. And it's going to have an impact on whether or not a visitor decides to become a paying customer or not. You need to make sure, absolutely sure, that your about page is working for and not against your goals for your business. And the first step to do that, well, get clear on what your goal is. You'll want to frame your entire about page around this question. Now, that doesn't mean that you're actively selling that product. It doesn't mean that you're ending with a direct call to action of buy this product right now, but you need to frame the page around that question. What product do you most want to sell? And that leads us right into tip number 2, which is to tell the version of your story that relates to your goal. Now, I am 100% sure that you are a multifaceted person with a multidimensional story, and that even if your about page were literally 100,000 words long, you could never tell every aspect of your story or include all the details. But neither should you try. Your website visitors are all on your website for one reason. They probably all have either a desire in common, something that they all want, or else they are all facing a similar problem. And almost certainly your story somehow ties into theirs. Either you face that same problem that they're facing, or you've had that same desire, and somehow you have overcome the challenge that they are currently facing. The challenge of trying to solve that problem, or the challenge of trying to achieve that desire. And that is the story you need to tell on your about page. Not all about your childhood, unless it happens to relate, or how you moved to the area you live in today, or how many pets you have, or how you met your spouse. Tell the story of how you were facing the same problem that your reader is currently facing and that you overcame it. Tell the story of why you started your business. Tell the story of what made you passionate about creating the product that you chose to create. This is the story that will resonate with your visitors, that they will care about, that is relevant, and that will help you close the sale. Now, when it comes to sharing your story on your about page, it doesn't need to be super long, but you do need to include some really specific details. This is what really makes the story come alive and be relatable and sound authentic. And there is no place that this is more true than when you're talking about the problem that you faced. When you are talking about this struggle that you had, that you have overcome, make sure that you get into gory detail about exactly what that problem was, how it made you feel, how it was impacting your life, and really those day-to-day, like really practical, tangible type of impacts. So for a couple of quick examples, if you're a health coach and you used to struggle with some aspects of your health and now you help people overcome those same issues, well, really get into how those health problems were affecting your day-to-day life. Were you tired all the time? If so, what did you not have energy for? What did you want to be doing but you didn't have energy to do? How did you actually feel? And how was it affecting your day-to-day life? Or let's say that you do something that isn't quite so problem focused, like you teach people watercolor painting. Well, you can still talk about your before and after. You can talk about how before you learned how to watercolor paint, how you would go to the art galleries and you would look at the paintings and you wished that you could paint something like that, but you felt like you would never be capable. And then talk about how you discovered that watercolor painting was so much easier than you thought it was going to be once you finally got the instruction you needed. Reading about your past struggle is what what is going to make your website visitors feel seen and heard and like they're really in the right place. It's also going to make them feel like they can truly trust you to help them solve their problem. Because as humans, we naturally tend to assume that if someone has achieved something, then they could help us achieve it too. If someone has already taken the trip, then they must know the path to get to the destination that we want to arrive at. At this point, getting them the rest of the way to full belief is honestly so easy. All you need to do is share a few quick case studies of people who you have already helped achieve this goal. Now, these could be past customers or clients, or they could be people who didn't pay you at all, like friends or family, who you helped achieve that goal. But the reason I say it's easy is because the visitor really wants to believe that you can help them because they want to solve their problem. When it comes to sharing these case studies on your About page, we want to keep them short because this page can easily get long, especially if you add in lengthy stories into it. So you want to share stories that are just like 2 or 3 sentences long, telling about these past clients or customers, or just share quick testimonials from them. And I would recommend about 3 testimonials for this section of your About page. And for bonus points here, write a few sentences describing what it's like to work with you. Really paint a picture and help people to imagine what it is like to work with you so that they can imagine getting that result. Tell us what your process is like, what the steps are that you work people through, and how you ensure that every single customer is successful. At this point, you've hooked your viewer by sharing a story that they relate to. You have reeled them in by sharing more detail and giving some testimonials and sharing your credentials. And now it is time to land them. So you need to show and tell them exactly what they should do next. Since we started this whole process by getting clear on what your goal for the page is, deciding what you want your visitor to do next should be a no-brainer for you, and pretty clear for them as well, even if you don't say it. But you still should. Your call to action for the end of your About page doesn't necessarily need to be buy now, though it certainly could be. More likely though, you'll go with something along the lines of subscribe to our email newsletter for blank. To get started with such and such, grab our free resource. Follow us on social media for such and such. Read our customer success stories. Browse our products to find such and such. Ready to do a certain thing? Check out our services. Interested in working together to achieve your goals? Apply now. Okay, so let's wrap this all up with my final bonus non-writing tip that's gonna make or break your About page. Seriously. Now, you may have heard that people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, and some pessimists will say that this means that you can't put anything very long on the internet at all because no one will read it. So your About page should be super short. But the truth is that readers on the internet are still very willing to consume lengthy pieces of content. I mean, just for a little bit of proof on that, consider that most of the time some of the lengthiest articles are the articles that rank the very highest on Google, because those are the pages that people spend the most time on reading the content, and Google knows that, so it pushes them up higher in the search ranking. So fear not, your About page does not need to be a mere 15-second TikTok. But there is one big requirement that you must meet if you want your visitor to stick around and actually read the words that you have agonized over writing. And that is, break it up. How can you do this? Well, short paragraphs, subheaders, and highlighted texts are going to be your BFFs when it comes to getting your readers to keep on scrolling and making it all the way to the finish line. By following these tips, you'll be able to create an About page that is both strategic and authentic, one that truly connects with your website visitors, gets them to trust you, and moves them way closer to being ready to buy your products. Now, for your next step, if you need some help building your website itself, then watch this quick tutorial. Or if your website is ready to go and you're ready to start getting visible and growing your audience, then watch this video right here. And if you're interested in working together to build your online business, then check the description below for details or visit GillianPerkins.com.